we get to do a little segment we haven't done in a while, and I'm super happy for it. And it's Star Wars Story Time.
Woo!
This has gone on the back burner a little bit because there's been so much for us to recap.
Yep.
Now that there are fewer things to recap, we can kind of do it again.
And we can recap other things.
Yes. Real quick, though, I wanted to make sure that we give a shout out to our friend Luca, who is our editor-in-chief Luca from Luxembourg. He does a lot of work on these videos, and he's a really cool guy. So he's for hire, by the way. You can hire him, pay him money. He will do your videos. Thank you, Luca. We love you. Star Wars already has 3 very unique, really cool what-if scenarios that exist, not in canon, and they were never canon, but it was from the Marvel Edition comics called Star Wars Infinities.
These were from like the 90s or something.
Yeah, they remastered, or they like re-released them in 2015 under Marvel, I think. Okay. But they were from after the prequels. There are 3 4-issue runs that each run takes the place of one of the original trilogy movies. They're not connected to each other. They just replace that one movie.
Just this fun alternative scenario.
And so we're going to do one half of the Star Wars A New Hope Infinities, which is a what if. So make sure before we get into this to like and subscribe, do all the things, leave a comment, talk about Star Wars. I don't care. Just like and subscribe. I want you to remember back to Star Wars A New Hope.
Okay.
Farm boy sees a recording of his sister. He at the time doesn't know and thinks she's hot. And it's like, I want to go rescue her. Probably boner. Let's go. He meets an old wizened Jedi called Ben Kenobi.
He's like, you shouldn't bone that woman.
Yeah.
For at least one reason.
Yeah. Probably 3. He takes him to Mos Eisley. His aunt and uncle die. They find themselves wrapped up in this war between the rebellion and the Empire.
Yep.
And he gets involved. He wants to get involved because Ben Kenobi is cut down by the evil Darth Vader.
Yes.
And so he wants to impress the princess. He wants to impress his friend Han Solo, the rogue.
Great kid. Don't get penisy.
And so he's like, you know what? I'm going to go blow up the motherfucking Death Star.
And then he does.
But he doesn't.
Oh.
So he says, I want to go blow up the motherfucking Death Star. And Leia's like, that's a great idea.
Have fun.
Because it's right above our planet. And if you don't, we'll all die. And he's like, okay, I'll get right on that.
I got this.
Okay, let's go. Jumps in his X-Wing. They have the same battle. The Biggs dies.
The fat pilot Porkins dies.
Sorry, Porkins. No space for you in the Star Wars What If universe.
What if Porkins survived the Battle of Yavin?
Yeah. He'd become the Chancellor, probably.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, they get to that one stretch where they're in the trench, and Vader shows up behind Luke.
Pew, 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 pew.
And he goes to shoot him. Han swoops in,
Yahoo!
Tells him to fuck off. He says, let's blow this thing and go home. Giggity. And Luke fires his torpedoes. They peel off. They try to get away from the Death Star because they're like, shit, that's going to explode. Like 2 minutes, they're flying away, and they're like,
wasn't that supposed to blow up?
That hasn't blown up yet.
That's weird.
And Luke's like, but I used the Force. Ben told me I used the Force. And
you should have used your targeting computers.
Yeah.
Scrub.
Yeah, no kidding. And it turns out that his torpedo detonated short of the reactor.
Oh.
And Wedge is on the comm like, look, man, this shit happens. Like, the circuits are weird.
Yeah.
We live in a universe where there's no internet, but we have droids. It's very...
Yeah.
It's probably not... We still owe you our lives. No matter what happens, because they're about to kill all of our friends. No matter what happens, it's okay. And Luke's like, that's not a comfort at all, but thank you. So back on Yavin 4, Leia's in the war room like...
Well, shit.
Yeah, she's looking at her computers, and she's like, okay, the torpedo's detonated... I don't understand what happened. And General Dodonna is like, if we don't get out of here, we're going to end up like all the, sorry.
Maybe I shouldn't have said
too
that.
soon. And Leia's like, no, the rebellion's over. I mean, I've lost the will to live. And Dodonna's like, well, that's just lazy writing. You should, let's get on the ships and we can probably get out of here before, And now we're on the Death Star.
Okay.
Tarkin's like, you may fire when ready. And the technician's like, okay, so I know you've been practicing that line all day.
But can I have a handrail, please?
Yeah. Well, that and the torpedoes they shot at us actually broke a thing in the other thing. And something about the power grid.
And technobabble.
Yes.
We can't actually shoot.
If we fire, something bad might happen. And he's like, did I fucking stutter? You may fire when ready. And he's like, all right.
You're the Grand Moff.
He presses the button. The Death Star fires at Yavin 4. The base is badly damaged, but Leia is still alive because of something weird that happened. Now, it should have blown up the whole planet, right? But it didn't. Think of Endgame when Thanos bombs the Avengers compound.
Okay.
It's like that.
Okay.
Where it's like it clearly wipes it out, but still, there can be survivors. Back on the Death Star, the technician looks over at Tarkin.
Now, don't be mad.
Yeah, he's like,
we did exactly what you asked us to.
And Tarkin's like, oh, fine.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Fix it. Give me full power so we can go blast that bitch again. And while you're at it, launch every fighter that we have on the station. Tell Vader to personally stop the rebels from escaping. And
Vader presumably stops spiraling.
Yeah, he's finally gained control of the ship. So back on the base, Leia and everyone have the ones that survived have crawled out of the rubble. They've gotten onto ships in space. Han and Luke are trying to figure out how to fight TIE fighters, but get back to the escaping fleet so they can all leave together. Yeah. And so Han's like, hey, I got this cool maneuver. We're gonna use the gravity well to slingshot around the thing and let's go. Yeah. And it kind of works where they slingshot around and they're just pulling up to the fleet. And they watch this giant squadron of TIE fighters and Darth Vader show up and surround the fleet. And Vader gets on the phone and he's like, we've surrounded you. You're now prisoners of the Empire. Thank you. So Luke doesn't realize that Leia is on the ship, right? Mm-hmm. He just sees the Death Star fire at Yavin 4 and destroy the base. So he assumes that Leia's dead.
Yeah, sure. They're all dead.
He fucking snaps.
Okay.
He freaks out. He flies. He's like, fuck it. Turns toward the Death Star and he's like, I'll kill it my fucking self. And he starts flying toward it and he's just blasting TIE fighters right and left. Just tearing it apart, right? He's a madman. He's screaming, open mouth screaming, shooting. Yeah.
And R2's like, dude, can you maybe chill a little?
Yeah. And then Luke hears Ben Kenobi's voice in his head and he's like, Luke, you have to chill the fuck out.
But not Luke.
Yeah.
Because that's a different character.
Everything will be just fine.
Just relax.
Yeah, you have to escape and fight another day. And Luke's like, okay, well, I guess Leia's dead, so that sucks. So he and Han use a debris field from the blown up base or whatever,
and just float away.
Yeah, they get through there and then they hit hyperspace and then they escape.
They skedaddle.
And then Leia is brought back on to the Death Star before Tarkin. He was like, fancy seeing you here again.
We have to stop meeting like this.
People are going to start asking questions. And Tarkin's like, well, you're going to serve the Emperor now. So fuck you and Alderaan. And
she's like, a little bit too soon, dude.
Yeah. So they get out, Han gets out of hyperspace. He and Chewie are looking around for Luke and they just can't find Luke. And it turns out they can't find Luke because his X-Wing is finished. Oh. It's everything's turned off.
Yeah.
And R2 has been really badly damaged.
Oh.
And so Luke's just sitting in his cockpit
well, guess I'm dead now.
Can you please put me on your ship? And so they bring him aboard the Falcon. They're sitting there around the little Djarik thing. And he's like, okay, we got to go destroy the Death Star. They killed Leia. They killed the rebellion. We have to go, kill him. And Han is being his typical self. He's like, hey, kid, we got to survive.
We gave it our best effort. Yeah. I even shot Darth fucking Vader.
Against my own sense of self-preservation, I showed up and helped you.
That was a really bad idea on my part.
So we need to stop this and we need to figure out how to survive. And they argue about it and it comes down to a fist fight. They start fist fighting.
Damn.
Because Luke is unhinged and Han punches him straight in the face and knocks him over. And then Luke stands up and lights his lightsaber. And Han's like, oh my God.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know it was that serious.
And then fucking Force Ghost Ben Kenobi shows up right in the middle of them. He's like, stop.
Time out.
Whoa, you can't just go.
That's a little bit too far.
You can't just go and cut people up. And he's like,
even
listen.
though I did to that one guy in the bar.
But it was only his arm.
Yeah.
Luke, only his arm. And he's like, your training isn't complete. Because I only knew you for 3 minutes. You have to go to Dagobah and find Yoda, the Jedi Master who instructed me. And Luke's like, okay, you're right, I will. The entire time, Chewie and Han are looking at him like, who the fuck is he talking to? because they can't see him.
Sure.
They can see Ben. And so Luke's like, okay, I'm sorry for almost cutting you in half.
Can you take me to Dagobah?
Yeah, he's like, I need you. I need to go to Dagobah and learn how to be a Jedi. And
Dagobah system.
Yeah. And Han's like, that's better to me than going and dying on the Death Star.
You mean I can just drop you off in this swamp and fly away? Cool.
Now we're in orbit over Coruscant.
Okay.
The Death Star has returned home from its spectacular murder mission.
Yep.
And the Empire is now in the strongest position it's ever been in, and Palpatine now truly rules the entire universe.
And he just has a giant boner underneath those robes.
And like the good guys have won. Like, it's pretty apparent.
The bad guys?
Yeah, the bad guys. And Vader takes Leia before Palpatine, who has set his throne room up in the Jedi Council chamber, high atop the Jedi Temple.
He did.
That's where his throne room is.
Yeah.
And like they walk in and Vader's like, hey, this is Leia. She's from Alderaan. And Palpatine's like, oh, hey, Alderaan. That's a really nice planet.
That's a planet that used to exist.
I mean, it used to be. And Leia's like, because you fucking blew it up. And Palpatine's like, oh, yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
And so Palpatine turns to Vader. He's like, okay, you need to go get her some obedience training. We can use her for super evil stuff. And, yeah. And he's like, what? What's wrong with you? And Vader's like, there's a disturbance in the Force. I don't know where it's from. And Palpatine's like, I don't fucking care. We just blew everything up with the Death Star. Like, nothing can touch us. I'm invincible.
Yeah.
So leave me alone. Get the fuck out of my, thing. And then Vader just turns like, fuck off. Meanwhile,
I fucking hate that guy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Luke and Han are landing the Falcon on Dagobah. Chewie has repaired R2.
Oh, good.
So he still works. And they're like walking around trying to find Yoda, right? And they find him, and he's doing his like crazy bit, where he's like, "I found something you have." And he takes Han and Luke to his hut and makes them food, and like Yoda's evading all of Luke's questions, and then Han's like, "Yeah, okay, cut the shit. You're Yoda, right?" And Yoda's like,
perceptive.
Yeah. Yoda's like, "Yep, okay, time to start training." And so, we're sometime in the near future in Coruscant,
time passes
a little bit, not much, a little bit of time passes. Leia's dressed in this like real cool fucking all black thing
because she's evil now.
Yeah, and Vader, and she's like in like an apartment.
Oh, nice,
kind of a thing. And Vader like walks in, and he's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" And Leia's like, I am literally a captive.
I have literally no options.
I have no choice. And Vader's like, good point. Good point. And hey, I brought you a present. It's C-3PO. And she's really happy.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I love that droid. That's a cool droid.
Yeah.
He's like, I've got this other thing for you. And he pulls out a lightsaber. And it's the lightsaber that he took from Ben Kenobi.
Oh.
And he hands it to her, and he's like,
she's like, what the fuck am I going to do with this?
Well, he's like, I figure you're probably forced. I feel something weird happening right now. I'm not sure what it is. I feel like I've known you for a while.
I sense something I've not felt since
when I boned your mother. And he's like, I figure you're probably
how I met your mother.
Yeah, exactly. So here, have this lightsaber, and she like takes it and looks at it, immediately attacks him with it.
Of course,
like fucking like full crazy.
Like, that is absolutely the most Leia thing she could have done.
It's because it's like her one chance, right? And she didn't even fucking care if she dies, right? She's like, I'm gonna kill Vader. And they have a little sword fight, and Vader's like it's clearly a ploy, and he's like trying to get her to release her anger and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like it kind of works.
Yeah.
Where she kind of taps into this anger a little bit, and then she calms down, and it's kind of a thing.
He's like, no. Go back to the anger. That was good.
Yeah. On Dagobah, Luke is training with Yoda. He's doing he's got his fucking wife beater on, and he's doing the flips and all the shit, and he's lifting rocks and
the one-handed handstand.
Yes, yeah. And both Yoda and Ghost Obi-Wan are training him together, and they're warning him about Vader and about he was seduced by the dark side, right? And so Han and Chewie have this problem that they're still there, and the Falcon's been on Dagobah for like 2 months, and the Falcon does not do well in swamp climates, as it turns out. And so okay, something broke on our ship. We have to go and replace it. So I don't know when we'll be back. We'll probably never, because this place sucks. And look, we make a real good team. You should come with us. And Luke has this moment, just like in Empire, where he has the chance to leave. And Luke says, I got to stay here. I gotta stay here and train and do the thing and so that I can be Vader one day. And Han's like, all right,
can't say we didn't try.
See you later. And so he takes off. And then we're back on Coruscant, and Leia's in like this really beautiful courtyard, and 3PO is like hanging out with her now, and he's like, look, the Empire is treating us really nicely, and honestly, Vader is really cool, and don't fuck this up for me, because I really like him, and you and your emo bullshit's going to ruin everything.
Also, Vader feels very nostalgic to me for some reason.
Right, yeah. I feel like I've known him since he boned your mother. And
since before.
Yeah, right. And so Vader like kind of like pops his head around the wall, and he's like,
hello.
Hey, can I talk to you for a second? Here's the deal.
Well, it's like, again, I have no other options.
Well, she's a little more receptive to him because he's not being a total asshole to her.
Oh, okay.
He's doing the abuser or manipulator thing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so he's like, listen, the Emperor is dying. He's old and he smells like a nursing home. And don't read into this. I'm just telling you, we've got options. I'm just putting that in your ear. I'm just gonna right in your ear. There you go. Right in your ear.
Don't tell anybody I told you this, because like
definitely don't tell the Emperor.
Yeah, because he might overreact. Yes. Do something rash, and we don't want that.
I'm just saying we can fucking kill him. So we're back on Dagobah.
Yes.
And Luke's standing outside the dark side cave, and he's like, "What's in there?" And Yoda's like, "Bad shit," and you have to go in there. And you can't take your weapons or bad stuff will happen to you. And Luke's like, why? And Yoda's like, don't worry about it. Just no weapons. Just trust me.
No weapons. Yeah. Just go on in.
He's like, okay, I'm taking my weapons. That place looks creepy and it's stupid to not take my weapons with me.
Yoda's like, this fucking kids these days never listen to yourself. Their elders.
Yeah. And so he goes into the cave. He has the same fight with Vader, cuts his head off. The helmet drops to the ground. The faceplate explodes. And it's Leia's face.
What a twist.
And that's where we're going to end our Star Wars story time for today. And then we will do the next half next week. And let me tell you, the conclusion of the story is fucking nuts.
Yeah, I was going to say, shit can only get wilder from here.
Oh, you have no idea. I'm going to tell you after we're done taping this, just so you know, so you're prepared for it. But when we do this next week,